The Mountaineers got it done. It wasn't pretty, but they got it done in their exhibition game against George Mason this past weekend. We also had a scare with one of the players. We're going to talk about all that on this episode of Hoops from the Hills, right after this word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you. What is up, College Hoops fans, Mountaineer fans? This is Couz,
And my name is Mountaineer Paul.
and we present to you another episode of
Hoops from the Hills, baby.
What is going on, Paul? It's good to see you back in the saddle, brother. How you feeling?
I'm still getting over it a little bit. My voice, I can't put as much power into it as I usually do or want, but I think I can do enough,
I
So,
got you.
and as long as you can do enough, you can do something.
I hear you, man. Well, I appreciate you jumping on here and doing this with me today. I obviously just got back from Orlando last night. Took the day off work for my day job and for a day to kind of rest up and recover from the
Yeah,
trip. And thought we'd get together and do a video about this exhibition game, man. Since we weren't able to do it over the weekend.
yeah,
Obviously, West Virginia won the game, as you see scrolling on the bottom of the screen, 85-78. They actually trailed the
yeah,
game at halftime, and it didn't look good at the time. But
yeah, yeah,
but before we get into it, though, I would be remiss if I didn't say that our thoughts and prayers go out to Akok who unfortunately collapsed on the court early in the second half of the game. Uh, he's according to the latest update, he's recovering at home in Morgantown. There will be more to come on where does he stand as far as his future. Is he going to be able to play? Is he not? But primarily we're concerned about him and his health.
yeah.
We'll talk about the effects of the team here in just a minute. But first off, just want to send prayers out to him and his recovery.
Agreed. It was a tough situation, and to see that happen, I didn't even find out. I was so sick. I didn't even know the game was played. That's how
Yeah.
bad I was that day. But I woke up at like 4 in the morning and got called up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And on the replay, they still hadn't taken it out yet on the ESPN Plus, so I was
Mm-hmm.
able to watch it, how it
Gotcha.
happens and stuff. He was definitely grabbing for the heart area. His hand came up here,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very scary. Definitely scary situation. I was You never would have hoped for anything in these situations, but I was hoping like maybe he's dehydrated, hopefully
Yeah,
something along those lines.
that can happen.
Uh, you never want to see a heart issue come into play for a basketball player because those are almost always career death sentences,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, usually saves them from actual death, which is great. But, you know, we've already kind of given credence to the fact about, we want obviously his well being. It goes without saying that that's first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the impact on the team would be heavy if he couldn't come.
Oh, it'd be huge, which we'll get into in a minute. I think we saw, and matter of fact, I just dive into it right now. I think we saw the effects, especially early in the game, uh, the lack of depth of this team. I mean, and a lot of it is because of the transfers that left. Some of it's because of guys not being eligible. Obviously, Jose getting removed from the team. I mean, there's so many things that go into play here. And even though they brought guys in to replace the ones who left, they didn't bring in as many. And then, when you had Omar and Raekwon both get denied waivers, that hurt. And obviously the Jose thing, but which the Raekwon thing, it's still possible that waiver, his appeal could get approved. That's the more to come on that. But in this game, he wasn't eligible, so and it was noticeable. Um, but talk a little bit about what I want to talk about is if a Cook's not able to come back, obviously he's the guy who can kind of give Jesse a breather at the five.
Yeah,
But without that, what do we do? I mean, Jesse can't play every single minute, man. What what's this team going to do?
Small ball.
Yeah.
They would have to play small ball. They'd have to spread everybody out. It would be um, if Cook couldn't come back, it would be Jesse Edwards at down low, and four guys around the perimeter. You have Slazinski. You would have you probably have to be Seth. It would have to be Kirk Risa, and probably Kobe for ball handling purposes, or maybe Josiah can shoot a little better. Um, I don't know between those two who you use, but we really don't have the personnel. Like we don't. Uh, Kirk can shoot. He's a good shooter. He's not. I wouldn't classify him as. That's not what he's looking to do. He hits enough to where it's in his repertoire. It's probably the second thing you worry about with him
Mm-hmm.
outside of his passing ability. And then you also have to get into, I think, a close second, and you can maybe even flip flop the importance. Actually, I'll go on the other side of this and say I think the depth behind Kirk Risa is probably even more important than it is because he runs the offense. And it was so noticeable when he wasn't on the floor to me against George Mason. The way the offense looked, it was horrible. Kobe didn't look good bringing the ball up the floor. Neither did but none of them did really. And so without him, I just think it's going to be a tough season, unless Raekwon gets cleared.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's a different story. He plays the two guard, and he's an elite ball handler. But both of those situations loom large to me. So this team is going to have to stay out of foul trouble, which I don't know how that's going to happen. We saw how that worked the first exhibition game. Jesse Edwards is still trying to figure that out. And now I've lost depth behind him, possibly in a Cook. So not a good start to the season as far as the outlook of things. Things have gone from, I would say I was optimistic to, I just don't know at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think this team still has enough pieces probably to win 18 or 20 games, but it's going to have some things bounce its way to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. You were talking about, foul trouble. I mean, what's the team going to do if they know if a Cook doesn't come back and a team knows
they did it.
They're going to go right at him, right?
That's what they did last night.
They're going to go right at Jesse Edwards. Yeah.
That's what George Mason did.
Exactly.
That's their game plan.
Exactly. And that'll be the game plan every game, will it not?
Yeah. Absolutely. You would have to. Obviously you have to know that going in. Josh Allen would probably have to. You either do something crazy. You bring Jesse Edwards off the bench, so that he's not guarding the best player all the time, and then you still get a big impact out of him, or you just. He's got to get better at defending people without leaving his feet. And this goes to everybody. Mm-hmm. Or let's say a Cook can come back. I think you put a Cook on the best defender. He is maybe he's a notch below Jesse on defense. It's not much at all. I mean, they're both really, really good. Rim protectors, just different. Jesse's so long. Jesse really doesn't have to jump. He really, truly doesn't. He just has to learn how to get skinny and straight up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a learning process. Somebody like me that played power forward and just right around 6'1.5", I learned how to use my body and my chest, and get straight up and down against people, rather than trying to jump and block things, because people, smart players will use that to their advantage, obviously. And there's a lot of really smart coaches in the Big 12 and smart players in the Big 12 that will cause you to jump off. So basically, it's like causing you to jump off sides of the way.
Yeah, right. I agree. One pleasant surprise, though, to touch on some positives, Gwen Slazinski, man. I know you and I were high on him, but I did not expect him to come out and score 21 points in this game. I mean, he really looked good, man. He was shooting the ball really well. Mm-hmm. Was a really pleasant surprise, man. So what are your thoughts on him and his performance?
Yeah, it's exactly what I expected from him coming into the season. I preached it all off season. He's always been a double-digit scorer. He's never been the featured guy on his team. And the way teams have played, he's played on those Patino teams, so he hasn't always fit exactly on how they want to do things. Well, Josh Allen would space the floor and shoot it. So I think that's catering to his personnel just a little bit.
Mhm,
You've got at least three guys that can shoot it well, and that's Seth, that's Kerr, and that's Quinn.
mhm.
And then you got a couple other guys that can get streaky, right? And a Cook, in Josiah, right? So and Kobe too a little bit, and then you've got a couple other guys that can make them every now and again. So like Sumik. So I think that's why he went the way he did with it. But Quinn is going to be probably going to be leaned on a lot heavier than we expected,
Right.
and he is a guy that can be a mismatch, especially if you play him at the three, because he's such a big kid. He's also got a post array. He just unfortunately in the Big 12, he's not going to be able to. We're not going to be able to play him at the four like a traditional four and throw it down low to him. In the Big 12, I would say he's probably going to struggle to score on some of the better players, but because he's just not a strong guy. He's a long, lanky, like four. He's like a stretch four.
Mhm. And then obviously Jesse Edwards was the most valuable player on the court. 21 points.
Yeah,
Uh, I think he ended up with 7 or 8 rebounds, something like that. Um, was really the go-to guy, and you can see how good he's going to be and how important he's going to be to the team, and why we need him on the court as much as possible, and why other teams are going to attack him and try to get him off the court. I mean, this team is going to go. He's going to revolve around Jesse Edwards, in my opinion. They're going to go as he goes. He's that important to the team. I think.
yeah,
Would you agree to that?
yeah. I just can't help but. I mean, I know it's not. It's been over for months now, but the roster that we lost is just it's such a hard pill for me to swallow.
Hmm.
Thinking about, can you imagine the pairing we would have had? We could have paired up any of those bigs. Name one of them with Jesse. We may not have gotten a Cook, but it's all water under the bridge now. I just find myself thinking about what could have been with as good as he
Right.
is, pairing him up with that roster that we had. It's really hard now that it's we've saw a game to see it where it is now. It's really bare bones. A bare bones roster. Even if Raekwon gets cleared, it's still going to be a little bit of an uphill battle for this team. I think.
Well, the depth. I mean, they've only got. I mean, Josh Otter said out of his own mouth, they've only got 7 or 8 guys that, in his opinion, are ready to play Big 12 basketball. But
Yeah.
yet, he's going to have to play more guys than that just to compete, because of he's got to give guys breathers, man. So it's
Surprised
going to
you didn't
be.
bring your way offer yet.
Yeah, I was going to get there, but yeah, I mean, he's one guy that they probably are going to have to play more than they really wanted to, because he is a
Yeah,
freshman. Now, he looked pretty good the other night, though.
he did.
And I
He
do
did
think
look pretty
I
good.
was really high on him when I saw his highlights. He's
Yeah,
super athletic. He's long. He can jump out of the gym. He's not a Raekwon Battle or a Noah Farrakhan, but he's still very
he's
athletic.
he's
Yeah,
way bigger than they are.
right, right. He's bigger, right? I mean, just his overall athleticism.
Yeah, right.
Uh, but he gives you, and he can shoot. He can shoot the ball if needed. But I think he's just going to be a really reliable piece for them off the bench. But he's going to have to get, he can't play like a freshman. He's going to have to play like a veteran for this team this year, in my opinion.
Yeah. What do you think about Jeremiah Bembry? And did you see him at all in the game?
He didn't play.
I didn't see him at all.
Yeah, he didn't play.
Is there a reason for that?
I
I
don't
know a
know.
couple guys have been sick, and
I mean, I know they were trying to win, but I was
that's
shocked that
true.
it's an exhibition game. So why would you not play? The only thing I can think of
Exactly.
is A, he was sick, or B, it's critical for them to get this. These guys have, even the guys
They got
that
a
did play,
chemistry.
they've got to build chemistry. They've got to play together. And if he knows in the back of his mind that Jeremiah's probably not going to play any, maybe he didn't see the point in putting him out there. To me, it's an opportunity to keep the kid involved and keep his head in it. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I just thought that
Again,
he was going to play some. I really, I didn't
I'm sure
know.
he had a reason behind it. And there could be something like you say, could be an illness. Maybe he was banged up at practice or something, and that we don't know about. But nonetheless,
I mean, there's people I can ask. I guess I'll just find out.
yeah, yeah, it'd be interesting to know why he didn't play, but he didn't. Sumnick played. Everybody played, but him. Everybody that's on scholarship played that's eligible, except him. Uh, the
Yeah,
walk on Ali Ragab didn't play, and
right.
obviously Farrakhan and uh, Battle
Great
didn't
one.
play, but because they're not eligible to play. So,
Love to throw those two guys in the mix, but we could,
oh man, it'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Uh,
but I just think it's a great start for the team next year. It
yeah,
really is.
it is. It is a good
If it
start.
doesn't happen,
It really is a good start. Regardless of who the coach is, I mean, they're going to have two pieces here that are ready to go. And let's talk a minute about Kirk Risa. And you mentioned earlier, Paul, about
yeah,
the three. He can make the three, but it's not the primary part of his game. And the coaching staff has talked about Allard specifically how they're going to need him to be more aggressive to try to score the
uh,
ball.
yeah,
And I think they're going to need
it's going
that's
to
going
take
to
a
be
while.
well, it will, but I think it's even more important now because of this
Yeah,
lack of depth. Uh, you don't really have any true scorers on the team outside of Jesse. Uh, so I mean, if assuming Raekwon doesn't get eligible,
well,
uh,
Szynski might end up
well,
being
Slazinski could be, yeah, but I mean, but that both of those guys are in the front
bigs.
court. You need somebody in the back court
Yeah,
that can do it as
yeah,
well.
right.
And Seth's a great shooter, but I don't know if he's going to be a dominant scorer yet. Uh,
He's so streaky. Yeah,
if he's even got it in him, I mean, we'll find out. I think he does, but we'll see. But I mean, I think they're going to Kerr's going to have to be more aggressive scoring the basketball, in my opinion, for this team to have a chance.
yeah. There's no doubt about it. And the thing that kind of hampers him is he is not an elite creator of his own shot.
Hmm.
He's not. He's not like uh, guys we've had in the past. Maybe it was like a Joe Toussaint is a good example of somebody who gets their own shot off a lot by, however they do, whether it's using screens or using their own dribbling repertoire. Kirk Risa is a facilitator of the offense, and he runs off a lot of screens and kicks it, and finally, and he's a high IQ guy, and he's so immersed in that part of it that I think that shooting the ball doesn't always. It's just not his first instinct.
Hmm. It's
So
not.
it's going to have to become. I do think you're right on that. But will the offense suffer as a result?
Yeah.
Is the question. Yeah, if he scores 6 more points a game, let's say he ends up being a double figures guy. Let's say he goes to 13, 15 points a game, but the offense suffers because of the overall. Is that good reason? So I think you have to be careful with asking him to be more aggressive because then you kind of hamper him from what he's good at, and that's moving the ball, getting people open because I mean, he's the kind of guy he can get you 15 assists in the game. He's that good
Hmm.
passing the ball.
Right.
So, those are points too in
Right.
their own way.
Yeah, and I really like we've already seen gotten a taste of that alley oop to Jesse on a pick
Yeah.
and roll.
How about freaking Ofree with the one?
Yeah, that was nice, wasn't it?
He threw an alley oop. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
He's got a ton of ability.
yeah, he's gonna
I'm
be good.
really excited to see what he's going to look like next year with the group we got coming back. Man, I want this team to win this year, but we'll see.
Yeah, and and they're recruiting well too. So, um, before we move on any further, I want to talk a bit about Huggins and him being at the game. Just get your quick comments on that. I think you and I think we agree on some things and disagree on some others. But what were your thoughts about Huggins being at the game? Obviously he was in the stands, but what were your thoughts on that?
Well, it's hard to know without knowing, isn't it? Like
Mhm.
I like you and I talked before. I don't know who he spoke with about that, and maybe he got a permission from everybody. If that's the case, then who cares? And then there's the question: does he even need to ask? Right? That's a good question too. I'm open to all of it as long as it's not hampering the team. Like is he hanging over? Is it look like he's hanging over Eilid's shoulder? Is the biggest question I have.
Hmm.
There are players on that team that would probably still rather play for Hugs. I think Kirk Reese has made that pretty well known that he really wanted to play for Hugs, and that didn't happen for him. Obviously, other players left as a result of not being able to play for Hugs. We had guys that would literally stay on this team for less money because of Bob Huggins. They could have transferred. Um, so I don't know, but um, I think it could be a distraction. Is my biggest fear.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
so other than that, I love Hugs. I mean, I can't. I don't want to bash Hugs, and I don't want to. I don't. Who am I ever be to tell him he couldn't come watch this team that he helped assemble,
Yeah.
um, and root for them? I want him to do that. I just don't want other people to start questioning Josh Eilert, and I want him to have a fair shake at
Mm-hmm.
this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm with you. If it's a distraction to Josh at all, then he probably shouldn't be there. But I'm of the belief, and this is just me assuming something, but I'm of the belief that Huggins would probably talk to Josh about it in advance because they are close. Huggins is his
Yeah,
mentor, and from everything I've been told, he was all for Josh getting this job. So I would like to think that he's had that conversation, been like, "Hey, do you feel comfortable with it?" Or maybe Josh is just a big enough guy to understand it. He knows who he's taking over for. He knows he's taking over for
yeah,
a legend. He understands the shoes he's trying to fill here, and I think he's
yeah.
confident enough in his own ability that he thinks he feels like he can do it. Bottom line is, I'm like you. As long as it's not a distraction, I'm more than happy to see him there. I think it's encouraging, maybe to the players to see him there. Uh, it's going to make them want to perform, still want to perform for him, even though he's not the coach. They're going to ball out in front of him, right? Uh,
Right.
I think it's good for the fan base to a degree to see him. Uh, some people may disagree with me. I know I saw a few comments on X that people were saying he shouldn't even be in the building. Hugs is a private
Yeah.
citizen now. If he's a fan,
All right.
he's a fan of the team. He has as much right to be there as you or I do, in my opinion. Um,
And
yeah,
sorry,
no,
he's
no, that's
also involved in the media now, right?
well, he's
With
going to
that
be. Yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
So
He's going
so
to be
he's
going on a
probably doing
podcast.
his homework as well.
Could
He's
be.
got to be able to go on there and say, listen, this is what they're able to do. This is what they're good
Mm-hmm.
at. This is what they're going to need to do. This is the challenges ahead. I talked to Josh Eilert. And he's saying this.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're expecting from him on there.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I'd be remiss
that's a
too. Like
podcast that's going to blow up really big,
you got
probably
that right.
quick.
And by the way, kudos to Huggins. He's lost a ton of weight. He looks really good and looks healthy. Uh,
Yeah,
so I'm happy to see that. Um,
me too.
he looks to be in good spirits. So that's the number one thing. But look, like I said, it actually makes me smile to see him in the stands. To be honest with you, as long as Josh Allert's okay with it and Ren Baker's okay with it,
Yeah.
I'm all for it, man. I think it's great. It,
So,
it makes us feel like he's one of us, if that makes sense. Um, Paul, anything else you want to mention about the game or just about the basketball program in general before we end this?
nope. I think I'm good to go, brother.
Okay, man. Well, guys, we appreciate everybody tuning in to the show. We asked before you leave or before we end it here to please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. If you're a West Virginia Mountaineer basketball fan and you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, what are you waiting for, man? We talk West Virginia basketball every single week on this show. We'll be doing game previews, game reviews, all of that stuff. So be sure to subscribe. Drop a comment below. Let us know what you think about West Virginia's performance in that exhibition game against George Mason. Good, bad, ugly, whatever. And if you want to drop your thoughts about Huggins being at the game, feel free to do that too. And then please give us a like, guys. Please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you like this video. And hey, if you think it sucks, you can hit the thumbs down button. That's okay too. But all that helps that
No
YouTube
need to
algorithm.
lie.
That's right. It helps feed the YouTube algorithm and helps the channel out. Again, shout out to our sponsor, Dutch Miller Automotive. Be sure to see them for your automotive needs, whether you're buying a vehicle or getting service work done. Go check them out. With that being said, this show is over and we're done. Let's go Mountaineers, Q Country Roads, all that stuff.